Hey everybody, John Felt here. This is the Blue Water Outlook Weekly Weather Briefing for the 21st of June. We're in summer, and the big story this week will be a heat wave that I'll be talking about. Now, if you like my content, please tell others about it. They can sign up for free at bluewateroutlook.com. Let's get started. Well, first off, as far as threats this week, look at the heat advisories and warnings over a large part of the nation. Fire weather danger in the southwest, and we even have some snow in higher elevations of the Rockies. Also this week, some spotty severe weather in the upper Midwest. You might remember a post I put out last week. I mentioned that the climatology of severe storms starts to lift to the north this time of year. Jet streams up in that area, and that's where you can see the focus for severe weather. Speaking of severe weather, look at all the severe weather we had last week. In the plains, we had a lot of hail. In the eastern U.S., a lot of windstorms, damaging wind, especially in the Washington, D.C. area. So last week, we had some pockets of heavy rain over the eastern U.S. here. This is 1 to 3 inches associated with some thunderstorms. We also had the hottest weather was in the western U.S. You can see it's beginning to build here, but it was in the western U.S., and that's going to shift, and that's really sort of the focus here. Is it's going to shift this direction, and then it's going to shift back into the west, and I'll be talking to you about those changes. Okay, now the hottest temperatures last week in green, not so bad, 80s. So last week wasn't too bad. This week's going to be totally different. The humidity, though, the low-level moisture, the dew points, look at this, 70s well up to the north. And that's another sign of summer that we have dew points in the 70s up in Minnesota. That's why the chance for severe weather is up in the upper Midwest and Great Lakes, and also why the chance of heaviest rain is up in that area. Now, as far as rivers go, we have a few spots as far as yellow or orange is minor flooding. We're looking at this area for the potential for heavy rain. We're looking at the southwest potential for heavy rain and flooding rain this week. But the big story this week will be major to extreme heat, especially in all these areas in red, some big cities, Kansas City, St. Louis, Minnesota, or Minneapolis, Indianapolis, Chicago, Milwaukee, Louisville, lots of high heat. Then as we go through the week, it intensifies. Look at how this green, the highest level of extreme heat, and it moves into some really populated centers of the eastern U.S. And the reason is we have this heat dome that is centered over the eastern U.S. By the middle of the week, that heat dome is still over the eastern U.S., so that's why we're having the hot weather. And I wanted to also show you here, we have a dip in the jet stream. Let's go back here, this upper low, and that is producing cool weather, showery weather, and even some snow at higher elevations of the Rockies under that low pressure. So right now we have a highly amplified flow here, and if you're under the ridge of high pressure, you're getting record heat. If you're under this area of low pressure, you're getting cool weather. Okay, let's look out till the end of next week. What do we have here? Well, that heat dome is still in this area here, so it looks like this hot weather might intensify over the next 5 days, the hottest, but it's still going to be around all next week. So let's take a look at temperatures here. Look at this, really cool weather, unusually cool, and unusually hot. But as we go into the end of June to July 1st, you can see we start to lose that cool weather and the west starts to warm up. And the first week of July, the western U.S., the northwest U.S. is the hot spot. Climate models have been showing that. I have a client up in this region. I've been sort of advising of that hot weather in Montana, and it looks like that is working out. But until that time, take a look at all the records. These are high temperature records, 27, 51, 52. You can see as we get the second half of the week, we don't have as record-setting heat. It sort of peaks this weekend into early in the week, but it's still around. But the other point is look at the high minimum, and these are impacting the eastern U.S., these highly populated areas. That's pretty dangerous when the overnight lows, Chicago too, lots of brick buildings, they don't release that heat. So that is very dangerous situation, so keep that in mind. Okay, so let's talk about rainfall. I think what's interesting here, this is our rainfall forecast, the upper Midwest and the Southwest U.S. If you're not in these areas, it's going to be really dry this week. But look at the precipitable water. It comes all the way from the Caribbean into the Southwest U.S. and even feeding this rain in the upper Midwest. So that, if you track that, that deep moisture is coming all the way from the Caribbean. Okay, so let's look out a little bit further. Let's look at week 2. Here's week 2. What do we see? Well, it looks like that heat is beginning to be focused in 2 areas. We have the east, especially the mid-Atlantic, and then more so now into the northwest U.S. And if we go out a little bit further here, that heat dome is, as we get towards the 1st of July, first week in July, that heat dome now is over the northwest U.S. And look at that. This is our weeks 3 and 4. This is our monthly for July. The western U.S. and the northwest U.S. looks like that heat dome is going to shift into that area. But again, this week, extreme heat risk in many parts of the central and eastern U.S. So be careful outside. Take care.